Welcome to the Making Health Doable podcast. I'm Cheryl Borshart.
And I'm Sarah Schall.
And together we're your hosts on this journey as you learn what it takes to live well.
We are dedicated to tackling topics that empower you to make massive progress in your health and wellness journey by using our pillars of health: eat well, move well, live well, and respond well.
At Doable Health, our mission is simple: to help everyone live well. As a team of physicians, board-certified health coaches, and law enforcement experts, we're here to serve employees and first responders with coaching, workshops, and masterclasses designed to conquer stress, anxiety, and burnout.
But our dedication doesn't stop there. We're also committed to improving wellness for individuals like you by offering at-home lab testing and personalized coaching to support your unique needs.
Because whether you're an employee, a first responder, or simply an individual seeking better health, we believe that life can feel better for everyone when health is made doable.
So join us as we embark on this journey together, where we'll provide you with the tools, insights, and encouragement you need to thrive.
And stay tuned for enlightening discussions, expert interviews, and actionable advice that will inspire you to take charge of your well-being and live your best life.
Until next time, remember, life can feel better when health is made doable.
Before we begin, we have an exciting new offering from Doable Health: at-home lab testing with our integrative health practitioner, Janine Finelli.
I'm Janine Finelli, integrative health practitioner, National Board Certified Health and Wellness Coach, and VP at Doable Health. We offer at-home functional lab testing for individuals to test and not guess when it comes to their health. Whether you are interested in a deep dive under the hood because you love to geek out on numbers and want to really focus on moving forward with prevention, or you have symptoms, brain fog, digestive issues, hormonal imbalances, insomnia, low or no libido, water retention, headaches, all sorts of things that you just cannot figure out where they're coming from, through our at-home functional medicine lab testing with the best of the best labs out there, we can help give you answers. Schedule your initial consult with me so you can test and not guess by going online at doable.com/test. And for a limited time, get 10% off your initial consultation by using the code PODCAST in the checkout screen. doable.com/test.
So today I'm interviewing Sarah Schall, Doable Health's Director of Operations and Client Services, and she's also our Move Well specialist. Sarah is also a functional medicine and board certified health coach and heart math practitioner and is currently pursuing her personal training certification. She's a former volleyball athlete, strength and conditioning coach, as well as a former health teacher. She created Doable Health's Move Well curriculum, which inspires people to move well for life. And Sarah is also the co-host of this podcast. Welcome, Sarah.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here with you and hosting soon.
Yes. As our listeners have learned, the Move Well is one of the pillars of health for Doable. We're going to dive into Sarah's expertise in this and just how we've used this pillar to help people to create change and create goals in their own life. But first of all, Sarah, I want to start by asking you, what's something new you've learned about yourself over the past few months?
Well, that could go really deep, really fast. As there's a lot of things I've learned about myself, but I'm going to kind of go a little more superficial. I've done a lot of inner work over the last couple months as I've hit my ages, but I'm going to stick with what I've been learning deeper and enjoying. And this kind of started in 2020 for me, but I've really enjoyed learning more about it, is female health, specifically cycle health, and how that impacts us as females. I am very passionate about the body and its system and how it works. And I was a former health teacher. So it's just interesting to me that I've been doing health education, got my degree in it, and was teaching teens and kids and have been doing it ever since in, the mid 90s. Okay, I'm aging myself. Mid 90s, went to college, and I knew there were phases of a women's cycle. I knew, like we talked about, the cycle of a woman and its 4 phases, but I never really knew what they were until 2020 when we had a bit of a break in life, good or bad. It was good for me, but not great for society. However, it helped me dig deeper into some of the things that I had not been able to dive into. And also, I feel like in 2020, female health kind of became more of a thing. We're having more research behind it and more women and doctors talking about it. And
Mhm.
I'm also evolving as a woman where I'm kind of moving through into perimenopause and menopause. And I just want to know more about my body. So that's probably the thing that I think I've been learning more about myself is really becoming in tune with my body's cycle and how it's speaking to me and what it's saying and how I can tend to myself better as I'm aging and my body's evolving and my life's evolving too. I have gone from having 4 babies to then toddlers and school age children and then 2 out of the house and 2 teenagers. So it's just the cycle of life is interesting. And I think lately I've been diving into how is that affecting my body in so many ways and a lot with cycle health.
Mhm. And I'm hoping this will be a good future podcast for us is I've also learned a lot about that in the past 2 years, and I'm just mesmerized and have utilized some of those tools to train with my cycle and eat with my cycle. So
Yeah.
yay, that'll be a great future health,
I know.
podcast topic for us to talk about.
Really
So
powerful. Mm.
yes, it is. Well, thank you for sharing that. So as we move into learning more about Move Well, we hear all of our lives that we need to exercise. And I think most of us know that, and we've heard it's to benefit our cardiovascular system and it keeps our heart healthy. Can you help us to understand the benefits of exercise beyond that?
I mean, there's a lot of benefits to exercise. I can go through a really extensive list of how exercise, I mean, our bodies were made to move. Okay. We were
Mhm,
created for movement, and exercise is kind of a luxury. I've visited, third world countries, and we exercise intentionally very different than they do. A lot of times they're just moving so much throughout their life and their days that they don't need to
mhm,
go to a gym or spend an extra hour being intentional with their movement because their entire lives and their entire days are very movement oriented. We were created to move.
mhm,
So I think we've gotten a bit more sedentary, obviously, in our culture. And I think so now we have to be creative. We have to go out and move more to stay healthy. But what exercise does do is number one, burns calories. I think that's what everyone's like, "Oh, let me
mhm.
exercise
Yeah,
and burn off what I ate." However, you
right.
cannot outrun a bad diet ever. So, not all calories are created equal. A whole nother podcast for another coach
Yes.
too.
Yes. Uh-huh.
But it boosts our mood, it boosts our self-esteem, it promotes greater mobility. We say motion is lotion all the time.
Mhm.
I say
Great for our
living
joints.
it's
Mhm,
good for our joints. It helps body composition. So not only about our weight, but like how much fat, muscle, and different things we have in our body. And we need to change our body composition with exercise. Improves brain health and mood, like I said. Let's see. It makes us just stronger for our bodies, helps us sleep better. I've even noticed too, sometimes we have trouble sleeping, falling asleep, staying asleep. A lot of times
mhm,
I've been saying lately, an underactive body creates an overactive mind. So sometimes we get in our heads,
mhm.
and sometimes it's like you just got to go move it out. Okay. So
Yes.
stay moving. But the one I like the most is we do have research over the last 10 years that says exercise and movement, specifically when you're contracting your muscles. So lifting weights is a big one, but any exercise, not just lifting weights, but it releases what they call hope molecules. So our muscles are like an endocrine organ that can release chemicals into the body. And these molecules are kind of stuck in our fibers in the cells of the muscle
Mhm,
until you exercise and strengthen them and contract them. That then releases these molecules that they call hope molecules. And really, it's these chemicals and these endorphins that can go in and give us hope, give us fresh
mhm.
perspective, and give us a mood boost. So, why not just move your body and exercise more? Not just for cardiovascular health, but for so many reasons in life, right?
Yeah. Now I'm envisioning my body next time I'm exercising, which I like to walk in the evenings typically and weight train a few nights a week. But now I'm gonna envision my body releasing these wonderful
These
hope molecules.
beautiful molecules. I know. And take a notice too before you start exercise, how hard it
Mhm,
feels. While you're exercising, the feelings. And then when you're done, you feel all those endorphins. You feel amazing.
mhm,
That's
mhm,
a lot of those chemicals and part of the hope molecules that our body craves and needs that sometimes get stuck inside of us because we're not accessing them with contracting our muscles. So yeah,
Mhm.
always take notice with how you feel with that. But I mean, most people who do exercise and get into a regular routine never really say they regret it.
Agreed. Yeah. So over the past almost 18 months now, I started weight training, and I've never weight trained before. I played as a kid and I did things, and like that's that functional movement, which we'll talk about in just a little bit. But I never did formal exercise. And I started to notice just as I've moved into my mid to late 40s now,
Mhm.
like, oh, I don't have as much muscle, which goes along with that. You lose that muscle mass every year if we don't do
Mhm.
something.
Yeah.
So for me, the strength training, it was not so easy to start, but I used a personal trainer to teach me things.
Great.
And then as I did that, I was just hooked,
Yeah.
totally hooked. Like, I wish I'd done it so much earlier. So
And you are releasing those hope molecules or that,
that's
and
right.
feeling that self-esteem, the boost of confidence. And I love that you did hire a trainer. I think that's actually a really smart move for a lot of people because the gym, if you're going to do traditional gym exercising, it's intimidating because you walk in, there's a lot of people, there's a lot of crazy machines and very heavy weight that could hurt you. So I think it's
Mhm.
really smart to go in and if you're going to hire a trainer just for a couple sessions, let them help you out and then find a good rhythm for yourself. But I love that you experienced it. And yeah, once you start, I always say starting is the hardest part of most goals,
Mhm.
especially
Mhm.
exercise, because in the midst of exercising, for me, like running, I do run occasionally, but I don't
Mhm.
know because it hurts me the whole time.
Same.
Like
Yeah, I don't
I'm
love it
kind of
either.
breathing.
I'm not a runner.
No. However, once I start and get going and then finish, I'm like, that was amazing. So the
Yeah.
starting
Yeah.
is very hard, but once you start, I always tell people just start for a couple minutes and then see how you
Mhm.
feel. And then do that every single day. The consistency is really what's going to pay off, but you won't regret being consistent for yourself.
Yes. I think I learned from my trainer, like, within the first 3 months, you're not really building a lot of muscle right then, it kinda comes later, your
Mhm.
body's just getting used to the movement, and it is getting stronger, but y I really started to see changes after about 3 months,
Right.
and so, I just again, it was to have
Hmm.
stuck with it that long and to see the benefits was
Yeah.
great for me.
Good.
Okay, so let's talk about that being functionally fit. Let's talk about you
Mhm.
touched on that a little bit, how people in other countries they just move, they do their chores, they do things, and as a society, I think a lot of Americans sit more, and we are more sedentary, we have desk jobs and things.
Mhm.
What is it like to be functionally fit? How could somebody do that even if they don't do a workout program?
Right. I'd say, and we work with a lot of people who have desk jobs, right? And a lot of people who work in a factory and are busy moving, but then still
Mhm,
feel not functionally fit. So I say definitely trying to find ways where as your life is calling you to move. So for instance, if I'm a office worker, if I'm a desk jockey, it sounds really like
mhm,
we were sitting at a desk a lot. How can I change my situation, my circumstance to make it better for my body? Sitting down might feel good for a little bit, but I noticed when I started sitting more, when I actually had to be home working more, my hips hurt worse.
yes,
So
my
I
low back hurts a lot if I sit too much, but that could almost cause you to sit more because you
well,
feel that pain. Yeah,
mentally we think, oh, then I need to take a break and be off my feet and give
yes.
my hips a rest. But really, honestly, our hips were not made to sit for a long period of time. Like we weren't created to be sedentary. We were created to move. That's why I say we were made to move. And you see in other countries, they don't have mobility issues. They don't have chronic pain. They don't have other things
Mm-mm,
because they don't sit for their lives. So I always say, how can you change your circumstance to soothe your body a bit more? Because maybe you can't go work out for an hour every day. That's really hard to find for most people. So thinking about how you're moving through your day and coordinating your desk or your activities to, I've had a lot of clients do that when they were having even upper back pain or lower back pain or neck
yes,
and
yes.
just standing helped their neck pain. They thought they had a bad shoulder, and really all they needed to do was stand up. So,
Yeah.
getting into those aligned positions, I call functionally fit. So, I say posture. I always have like a triangle in my mind of like what's most important for functional fitness. And posture, I think, is number one because we need to have good posture all the time, sitting, standing, walking, bending. Being in alignment and getting organized with our spine and being safe as we move through that is kind of like critical to avoid injury and just feel good. So, posture is like an easy step to be functionally fit. Then I move into like mobility. Mobility is another great way to be functionally fit. So, if you're at work And you need to find ways just to kind of like help your body out. If you're sitting a lot, stand. But then do another thing where you can just add in 3 to 5 minutes of a stretching routine. So I do a lot
Mhm.
of like the midday movement circles that we have.
Yeah.
I teach a gazillion mobility drills that you can do from your desk or from home. I
Mhm.
do a lot while I'm home with children who might be on their phones or watching TV or something, and I want to be with them, but I don't want to watch their show necessarily. I'll stretch during a commercial break, like on the floor.
Yeah.
I always have tools. Like I'm in one of my rooms that I keep lacrosse balls, I keep PVC pipes, I keep rollers, all the things that kind of help me remind myself to stay mobile and work on some things. So, kind of, I say bleed in through your day 2 to 5 minutes, because I think if you have something for your body every hour or every couple hours, it's going to be better in the long run than if you save that mobility or that movement for just one big burst at the end of the day or whatever in the middle of the day. So, I even like to give the idea of we nourish our body throughout the day with
Mhm.
movement. 3
Right.
to 6 meals a day, whatever you're gonna follow, and why don't we give our body movement like that? So, we nourish with food every day to keep it alive and keep it moving and working. We also need to give it movement as part of the nourishment as well each day to keep it moving and pliable and functional and going. So, functionally fit, I look at it like I wanna keep moving until I'm 100 years old and not be
Yes.
too much pain.
Mhm.
So what kind of movements do I wanna do or need to do now so that my body has this, like, longevity and long health span with movement and functional fitness? So I wanna learn how to sit well. I'm gonna work on my squat. If I need to learn to pick up something off the ground safely and for a long time, I'm gonna work on my deadlifts or know that
Mhm.
form well. Getting up and off the ground. As a grandparent, when I want to play with my grandkids, I want to be able to get off the ground well. So I have to work on my strength. I have to do some lunges. I might have to do some step ups. So just kind of being functionally fit of how do I move through life naturally and for my livelihood? And then how can I make it fit so that my body feels good and I'm tending to it and I'm kind of nourishing it with movement. Just like I would nourish it
Mhm.
with food, I need to nourish it with movement throughout the day.
Yeah. I have watched the Blue Zones documentary on Netflix, and I learned that in other countries and in the blue zones especially, these are the zones in the world where there are higher concentrations of people who've lived to over 100, in case our listeners don't know that. So these people sit on the floor, and they don't
Mhm.
sit in couches and chairs. They're out gardening, they're out tending, they're doing all of those natural things. They're walking to the store, they're walking to see friends. So when I saw that, I decided I'm going to get up and down out of the floor every day. Like, that's gonna
Yeah,
be something I
yeah,
just incorporate because I wanna, like you said, be able to do that. We have kids graduating from college this week, Sarah and I do.
right,
So,
we do.
like,
I hope you
grandkids may not be that far away, so it's something we have to think about as
yeah,
we get older.
it's definitely more realistic in my world than having another baby. So, yes,
Yeah.
the next phase would be grandchildren, and so I think about that, like, I wanna be able to lift my grandchild up in the air,
Mhm,
whether that be 5, 10, 20 years from now. So, I
mhm.
need to make sure that my range of motion in my shoulders is good for that, and as soon as I feel an ache or pain or feel stiffness, I don't just let it sit there, I actually start to do things to kind of reverse that as quickly as
Yeah.
possible.
Mhm. My grandmother lived to be almost 104,
Woo,
and
go girl.
she walked every day until she had some strokes, until she was, I think she was 102 at that point, and she was such a just like an inspiration to me to see there are 60-year-olds who can't move that are
Yeah.
sitting in their chairs,
Oh,
and that to me, I'm like, how that's why we wanna talk about this. How do we
yeah.
prevent that?
Well,
How can people be
yeah.
proactive?
It
Yeah.
does scare me. I mean, I'm blessed. I did come from a very active family. My parents are in their mid-70s and still very active. My mom's like statewide amazing tennis player. My dad has always been very active, is starting to find like low back pain, but I think a lot of that's from his stiffness that he didn't work on in his hips. And so being him, like now get to a place where he needs some replacements and surgeries. I'm like, ooh, what could I do different that he wasn't able to do? And a lot of that was just staying mobile. But he was always very active and lifted weights a lot, played tennis, like the lifestyle sports. So I'm grateful that I had models like that. And that's what keeps
Mhm,
me motivated for my family is I want to model taking care of myself. Like the self-care of movement is really important. And I
mhm.
really enjoy it. But yeah, I think I have had the benefit of watching people age well And I've also experienced
Yeah.
a lot of people of not aging well. And that does scare me. I want to be able to do life, and being fit and active allows me to do life just as I want.
Yes. And that kind of is where I wanted to go next was what type of signs would somebody see? What would happen to somebody's body if they were starting to decline in the area of being functionally fit? What are some things people could look for and say, maybe it's a wake up call to say, oh, I really need to be intentional about this?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the number one, I always say our body's always speaking to us, always, like,
Mhm.
so when you get out of bed, my
Yeah.
one right foot is speaking to me every morning for like a plantar fasciitis feel. Like I started to develop that somewhere along the way. I think it became from an acute injury. I bruised it, but then it didn't really recover well. And so my body is talking to me throughout the day, and I'm actually trying to pay attention and listen to it. I think a lot of times we just start to stuff it and ignore it, like a lot of our emotions
Mhm.
things too. The body has a way of communicating, and I think we need to slow down and listen to it, and then find what you wanna focus on to mend. But the aches and pains, I think, are some things that our body's telling us that it needs more assistance, and I think instead of ignoring it, finding a modality that's gonna help you. So exercise is a main one, mobility is
Mhm.
the main one, but maybe they need to go see a personal trainer. Maybe they need to go see a physical therapist first before
Mhm.
doing all of that, to help them identify, like, the root cause of what's going on and work through that so that that's not gonna limit them from participating in any movement. So or see a chiropractor, an acupuncture, whatever modality might work for you, but they gotta start somewhere. They gotta listen first and kind of
Mhm.
almost see what's speaking the loudest, because we probably all know what speaks the loudest. I mean, when you bend down and tie your shoe and it hurts your back, and we're in our mid-30s, that's a problem. Like, we need to probably tend to that and figure out how
Mhm.
to remedy, realign, get to a place where bending down to tie a shoe doesn't even, like, phase us. So,
Mhm.
that would be probably one. I think 2 would be, like, I'm noticing, like, if I lose my balance or something, like, if I tip over, or if I'm not balanced or aligned, I'm like, "Huh, that's gonna be something I'm gonna work on." Like, because as
Mhm.
we
You're
age
paying attention.
yeah, as we age, we fall a lot more, and a lot of that's because of strength, lack of strength, under-muscled, and that we don't practice our balance anymore. So those
Mhm.
are just things where I'm kinda like, "Huh, those are ones that I'm speaking." Another one is if I don't sleep well and I get into a routine of not sleeping well, I start to look at, well, am I exercising well? Like,
Right.
how's my
What's
output?
feeding the other and what else could be falling off?
Yeah,
Yeah.
what's my output during the day so that I can, downregulate my system and go to sleep and my mind's not wandering, which as we're evolving as women in perimenopause, that just does
Yeah.
happen sometimes, but a lot of times I look at that, like, am I sleeping okay, and how's my mood, So those are you have to really be in tune with your body, with all health things, but one of my ways that when I hear my body speaking, my favorite thing to do, and the thing that comes most natural, is to start moving and to
Mhm.
get mobile, go on a walk, get outside. A lot of times, it's not even just the movement, it's the being outside part that really kinda rejuvenates me. So,
It is very renewing to get fresh air and see the sunshine and maybe run into somebody to talk to, and it is. It's an
yeah.
energizing routine, and you can make it that
Mhm.
if you
Yeah,
so
usually
desire.
yeah, usually when I'm feeling in a funk and probably not feeling like I wanna work out real hard, I'll definitely just go to the trail and walk. As long as I'm outside in nature, breathing fresh air, I'll even maybe have the dog with me walking. That right away, my mood is boosted because I'm exercising and I'm in fresh air and I'm in nature. So for me, I've learned when I'm in a funk or when I'm not feeling great, that's one of my remedies. That's one of my healing things. And it works
Mhm.
for me. So it's nothing
Change.
scientific or nothing
Yeah.
like, mind blowing that I'm doing. I'm just going outside for a walk.
Yeah. Just changed perspective and changed environment, and it can do wonders for us if we get just kind of blah. What if there's somebody listening today who is struggling in general? Maybe they haven't made moving well a priority in their life, and they maybe want to start after they've heard this. What type of advice would you give them? Because we know there are all these types of ways to exercise. There's HIIT workouts.
Mhm.
There's this. Again, we don't have to be doing all of those things. It's great if you are, and maybe that's something you want to work toward. But let's just say, for example, a beginner, somebody who just is like, I need to turn this around. What could they start with?
They like. I hear that a lot. I always get people asking, "What's the best workout to do?" And my question back to them is always like, "Well, the question that we need to answer is what do you like to do?" Because whatever you like to do is gonna be the best thing for you, meaning you're gonna do it more. A lot of times people are like, "I'm gonna go do the HIIT class," or "I'm gonna go do Zumba," or "I'm gonna get on the bike and do it every day." But it's like, do you really like that? And hopefully you do. But that's where I think you have to say, like, "This is really what I desire to do for movement." For me, I don't like dance type classes. So I've gone to them because I have friends
Mhm.
that love them and I wanna join them, but I find that it just doesn't spark much interest for me, so I don't prioritize those. So I say, "What do you like to do?" is the best workout, and then the next thing is choose that right now so that you can be consistent. Because consistency and just starting something, even I said for, like, 5 minutes a day, start there.
Yeah,
Get
that's right.
started doing
That's
something,
smart.
and
Just
it
do
doesn't have
it.
to be complex. I gave a challenge to our clients last month 'cause April well, now it's May 1st, but it was April, and it was beautiful weather. I love the spring. It's actually my favorite season of the year. I love
Mhm.
the
Mine too.
colors and the freshness and, it's getting warmer, so for me, that speaks to me. And so getting outside, made a challenge. Start with a 10-minute walk on April 1st. We did that. And every single day, add 1 minute. And so by the end of the month, if you did that, which doesn't sound too hard, it was the consistency of showing up for a walk every day. And then it was gradually adding. And sometimes I didn't get to the add a minute every day, but I did get outside for a walk. And that still made
Yeah,
me pretty proud.
right.
So doing something like that, of just getting started on something you like, maybe it's saying, I'm going to go try a yoga studio for a month and see what that's
Mhm.
like and just get started. But a simple one that I say is lace up your shoes, go out for a walk. Walking has a lot of benefits to it. The impact, the outside. I even gave the challenge of walking backwards because even that has some healing properties to it for
Mhm.
quad, knees, and hips and backs. So instead of going forward the whole time, just take a minute and go backward. And there's a lot of restorative science behind that. So just doing things like that, get moving, do something, start stretching,
Mhm.
and do something that will help you get motivated and get going. For you, you signed up and went to the gym and it took, you know, a little bit of time for you to see results, but now you're hooked.
Yeah, and I knew too, like I said, I didn't know where to start. It was something I
Mm.
wanted to do, but I was like, "I don't know the right way to do this. I need help," and I learned a lot. So, yeah, that's very helpful, and, exactly, that's what I would say too, is any exercise that you're gonna do regularly is the best exercise for you, and if you wanna try something new, that's okay too.
Yeah.
I do both. I walk. My husband and I take our dogs to walk every night, and I love that, or most every night,
Mhm.
not every night, but
Yeah.
that's a goal for us. So we have our Move Well curriculum within Doable Health, and any of our clients can go in and get started in this gentle way if they need to
Mhm.
and build upon that over time.
That's
And Sarah's even hosted recently with our Circles master classes. She's been doing midday movement at work. So
yeah.
people just joined from their cubicles and offices, and I heard so many people just raving about, "Oh, I didn't realize this was connected to that and
Oh,
how I
man.
could shift this." Yeah, it's been really eye-opening.
It's all interconnected with the body and the ligaments, and, like, a lot of times we think we have knee pain, and it's like, well, it didn't start in your knee. It probably started
Yeah.
downstream or upstream, we say.
It
So look down.
transfers.
Yes, look
Mhm,
down towards your calf and your ankle, or look up and work on your hips, and a lot of times when you fixed the things up and down the stream from that
mhm,
joint, you're gonna find relief. So it's not always, like, where we think it originates, and sometimes even, like, the neck issues can go all the way down to the back and the knees. So we are a
mhm,
very interconnected, beautiful, complex creation, and then that also works with, like, the inner health and the other things that we need to do for health. It's all encompassing and super important, but the movement I find movement to be an easy thing to get started on because everybody
mhm,
how to move. Like, sometimes people are intimidated by the nutrition side or the stress management side. Those can be big and scary to some people. And maybe movement's scary to a lot of people too, but at least everyone can go out for a walk or they can get consistent with something that they like to do and being
mhm.
active. And
That's right.
typically, you bring people in your life to do it with you. That was another one of my tips is when I wanted to get back after I had my 4 children, I always say, I gained 40 pounds and lost 40 pounds 4 times in my life. So it's like, that's a big shift of your body going back and
Oh, yeah, and
forth.
just how you feel after that
Oh,
and during that, it's really hard on your musculoskeletal system.
It it was a lot, and so I was like, once I was done with my 4 kids and I knew I was done, I was like, "Okay, now it's for me. Like, now I'm gonna do something for me," and I actually picked a really scary goal. Like I said before, I don't love running, and so that was one of my challenges was I wanna pick a goal physically that's gonna be really hard and really scary to
Mhm.
me, because then I feel like I'd have to actually really work on it and be committed,
Yeah.
or else it won't happen. Like, it wouldn't be natural for me to go out and run a half marathon, so that was my goal, was to run a half marathon, and I was so scared of running. I would run a mile and feel like I was dying. So I
Mm.
said to my children and my husband, knowing that this was a big, scary goal and knowing it's gonna take a lot of time and commitment, I told them, I was like, "This is my goal, and I need your help to help me get out and do this. I want your support, and I want you to remind me to go out and do it." And so it was, nice and encouraging to have, 4 kids under 6 or 8 being able to say like, "Mom, did you do your run today?" Like, so it's very
A little
encouraging.
accountability
Yeah,
there.
a little accountability, and I'd have to be like, "Oh, not yet, I should go do that," right? So,
Nice reminder.
enlisting the people around you in this, bigger goal, they'll either
Mhm.
join you or they're gonna support you. And
Yeah.
so and that's the accountability that you need. So and then it evolved into I invited a friend to do this half marathon with me, and it was a big scary goal for her too. So then it became not only was my family supporting me and letting me get out and do my thing for me, I had a friend join me. So we'd text each day and built a great relationship. And now we're kind of like the running buddies that every time we start a new race, we invite each other to do it. So find some accountability, share what you want to do with somebody. And I think that helps with the accountability.
Yeah. And I know we talk with our clients too about, really it is envisioning what you want your future to look like. It's hard to make this decision sometimes right now because things are busy and things will get in the way and we do make excuses. But to think about your future and what you want your future to look like. And so we encourage everybody listening today to do that. Just spend some time to think about what your future, what you'd like that to be.
Mm-hmm.
So that can really help every day when you have to make those choices. As we wrap up, Sarah, I want you to touch a little bit. So we serve first responders too, and maybe they have some different needs. I mean, we're all humans and we all need to move well and function well. But how do you see, some things that I know they sit in cars a lot and
Mm-hmm.
they, sometimes struggle with that piece of it. Maybe they lose some mobility.
Yeah.
What are some things they could try?
Definitely. I look at our first responders as like the community athletes. Like, I mean, we have professional athletes and college athletes and put a lot of emphasis and time into them and a lot of support into how they move. But I really feel like our first responders are like the community athletes. They need to be quick on their feet. They need to be mobile. They need to be healthy. They need to be ready to run or save. They need to be quick mentally. So I am really passionate about serving the first responders in health and wellness and especially movement. So they do sit in their cars a lot. If they're a patrol officer, they're going to be sitting a lot. And so I do encourage, just like I tell a desk jockey, you can't sit for 6 to 7 hours a day and feel good. You have to stand up or you have to bleed in, bring in a little bit of stretching, a little bit of mobility
Mhm.
every hour. Stop for 2 to 3 minutes. Get out of your car and take a walk or do some lunges or do some. I encourage them to have like a PVC pipe for all the mobility drills we teach with it. And it's like just have something to remind you in your car. Get out once you're able and you're not on call. Get out and do a couple things just to stay active and mobile, and that's gonna help them as well. But then they do carry a lot of equipment around their waist from their
Mhm.
belt that hurts their backs. They're now transitioning a bit more to the vest, and I think that's really important is kind of the ergonomics of our work. And even for police
Mhm.
officers, they shouldn't be carrying all the weight around their waist. That's really bad for your back. They need to kind of spread it out over the vest. So talking with agencies about their equipment, how they wear it, and then also prioritizing movement. Some agencies will pay for the hour to have their police officers work out. Firemen get it usually, however, because they're not always
Mhm.
out on a call. They don't have to patrol outside of the station.
Right.
But for police, it's a big deal. If they're patrolling, they're not really near a gym. But there's a lot of agencies now who will pay for the hour of wellness for them to work out or do whatever serves them in that moment for staying fit and active. So I think that's critical too, is giving paid time to exercise for officers.
Mhm. Yeah. And this has been great. We're setting the foundation. We're setting the stage. because we're going to go deeper with moving well in a lot of ways. So we hope our listeners will stay tuned and like and follow Making Health Doable so that you don't miss out on some of our future Move Well episodes. Thank you, Sarah, for being here today. It was
Thank you,
great talking
Cheryl.
with you.
I love it. Thank you for having me on.
As we wrap up another insightful episode of Making Health Doable, we want to express our gratitude to you for joining us on this journey toward better health and wellness.
At Doable Health, we're not just a podcast. We're a dedicated team of physicians, board-certified health coaches, and law enforcement experts.
And together, we're on a mission to serve employees and first responders, providing coaching workshops and masterclasses tailored to conquer the challenges of stress, anxiety, and burnout.
But our commitment doesn't stop there. We're also passionate about improving wellness for individuals like you, offering at-home lab testing and personalized coaching to support your unique needs.
Because at the end of the day, whether you're an employee, a first responder, or simply an individual striving for better health, we're all human. And we firmly believe that life can feel better for everyone when health is made doable.
So as you go about your day, remember that you're not alone on your journey toward wellness. We're here to support you, encourage you, and provide you with the tools you need to thrive.
So stay tuned for more inspiring conversations, expert insights, and actionable advice in our future episodes. Be sure to like and subscribe on your podcast platform.
And don't forget to visit our website at doable.com, DOOABLE.com, for additional resources and updates. Until next time, remember that health is within reach.
And together we can make it doable.